Greetings, aliens. Well, not really aliens. I hope this can be a little bit of a quick one because I found this video. Linux is becoming more mainstream from good old Brody Robertson. I think that's his name. I can't fucking remember his name right now. From Take Over T, that's a podcast he does. And I just hovered over it, so it did the preview. So I kind of want to see how Each has been around for a fucking long time. Amazing dude. I'll have a link to his channel down below. I will have a link to Take Over T down below. So go follow these two guys here. I kind of want to see what their view on Linux is becoming more mainstream is, because the numbers don't say that, and I will go into that later on. But let's see what these chaps are saying right now.
It's weird. I will make videos on licensing that I feel like are pretty interesting videos, and judging by, people having their discussions in the comment sections, like in videos that aren't related to that one, it seems like licensing is this topic that a lot of people in the FOSS space are really interested in. And maybe that was the case like a couple of years ago, but I think we're actually sort of getting into this space where Linux is kind of branching out of just the FOSS people.
Yes and no. I still see a lot of the talk about licensings in my channel and other people's channels I follow, in Reddit, forum posts I follow, or forums I follow, sorry. I see the talk still be there, but yes, there are. The non-FOSS people have become more vocal. Let me put it that way. I don't see a more influx in non-FOSS people. I just see them being more vocal because the FOSS people started to sound fucking crazy. They're like the minutes idiot running around, hammering their heads into the wall. The FOSS people are starting to become a little bit irritating to listen to. And I think that has made people more talkative about it. And plus, there are so many YouTubers out there nurturing the non-FOSS people, wanting them to speak out, asking their opinions and stuff like that. So you are hearing more of them, about them.
Especially now that we have, the Steam Deck is obviously...
Yeah.
Like, you've got the Steam Deck now, where now you've got a lot more of the Linux gamers, and you've had...
No. Again, this is a misconception. I could rant about this till my fucking balls drop. The Steam Deck, that running Linux, is meaningless for the people using it. They don't give a fuck. They really don't. They buy the Steam Deck not to become a Linux user or use Linux or get exposed to Linux and stuff like that. They buy the Steam Deck because they want a portable gaming device, and they kind of want to see what the Steam Deck is about. This whole notion that the Steam Deck is built and meant and being used to becoming the gateway drug into Linux and free and open source is a misguided trust or idea or hope into what we hope and wish would become at some point, that more people will use the beloved Linux. But it's not going to happen.
Proton for a thing like quite a while now. So using Linux isn't just a thing that only the FOSS people are doing now, and
it never was.
I guess...
Oh, sorry. It never was. I don't know where he think he's coming from. I used Linux in the 90s, okay? That was not only FOSS people that used Linux in the 90s. It was everyone. Like now, it was just not that big of a group of people, but the people that used Linux was everyone from grandmothers till kids nowadays, system administrators to hobbyists, coders to video production. And it's the same now. This whole notion that Linux used to be a FOSS-only thing or FOSS... No.
The proportion of people that are using Linux that actually care about the license and about how things are licensed, I don't think the raw number is going down, but the overall... It looks like a lot less because...
It's been, again, I'm talking from experience here. It's been like that since forever. The FOSS people have always been the loud minority within Linux. And most people use Linux just like they use Windows. They use it because they like it. They use it as a tool. They use it because they want alternatives to Windows and so on and so on. Few people use Linux as a FOSS advocate.
Because of that growth that Linux has been having.
It has not had a growth.
Definitely. That's actually a really cool observation. I see on Reddit all these people, like presumably kids that are getting into the Steam Deck, they're getting into Linux, and they're like, whoa, you just pass in these parameters and all the performance changes and stuff. Like,
just like under Windows and FreeBSD and Haiku, this is not a Linux only thing. Just want to put that out there, by the way.
What's funny is back in XP and Vista and 7, you could do that too.
You can still do it in Windows 10 and 7 and 11. 10, 7, and 11. How the fuck did I came up with that? You can still do that on the 7, 10, and 11, not 10, 7, and 11. You can still put in parameters onto Windows as startup and stuff like that and make it do amazing things.
Like that's how Windows, like you pass in all these crazy parameters and get games and stuff to behave different. And
again, Steam under Windows, you can put in launch parameters. You can put in, legacy mode. You can go into if you right click on an exe and go into properties or preferences, I can't remember what it's called right now. Properties, I think it is. You can change, should it emulate Windows 7, and you can put in launcher options in there. You can put in options for shader cache and all of that fucking shit, just like you can under Linux. You can do with Steam, like the Steam client, you can put in the same parameters, almost not the same, like word for word, but you can do a lot of the same stuff with the launch parameters under Steam, the client, to run Steam game as you can under Linux, because when you run it under Linux under Proton, you're emulating Windows. So a lot of the commands you put into the Steam client, you will have to put into the Windows also to do the same shit.
Now with Windows 10 and 11, it's just like this is how it runs, and there's really not much you can do to fine tune it or
previous statement. You can do the same fine tuning via the Steam client and blah 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 blah.
Whatever. And then you go over to Linux, and there is definitely a type of techie tinkery person that likes that. Like,
true, there are more, I'm not saying more tinker people under Linux, because you have to compare how big a percentage of Linux users are tinkers versus how big a percentage of Linux users are tinkers.
For a long time, I personally denied the fact that I like it when my system breaks. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, but you know what I'm talking about,
no,
right?
I know exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of tinkers. They like that, because when stuff breaks, you get on a challenge. Fix it.
Something screws up, and I'm like, all right, I'm rolling up my sleeves, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it. And what's cool about it is a lot of times after fighting with that challenge, I'm smarter and I'm better equipped to deal with issues like that. Like, for me personally, I like that, and I can see how not everybody is like that, but
totally.
I like it.
No, I use Arch, so like, yeah.
So that's your jam.
Exactly. Well, I've sort of turned my system breaking into a job, so like there is that as well. But even just when,
if he really likes, I cut him off mid-sentence. If he really likes. If Brody Robertson really is what he say he is, that he likes art because it breaks, why is he not running Linux from scratch or Slackware?
When I was like first starting to use Linux, I did enjoy it when something, as long as I didn't have like an assignment due or something at the time, but when I wasn't super busy with other things, if something went wrong, like that's an opportunity to learn something new about your system. Like, hey,
but you have to remember, just like E.T. said, some people don't like that. What if that opportunity happens when you're about to do an essay or assignment, or you have a customer needed fucking support and stuff like that in your earphones in your ears?
I didn't understand the way that GPG keys worked, for example, and my keys had expired in my package manager. So now I have to go update that list, and because I'm going to update it, I might as well like look into why that's a thing that needs to be updated, why this is a thing that we have connected to our packages, or a recent issue with Grub where there was like this broken version of Grub Shift, and yeah,
you got burned by that too.
I skipped the affected version, so I didn't have any like bootloader issues with it, but it.
Honestly, that's not something to be proud of. I'm just I can see it from a technical standpoint and from being interesting in technology standpoint, which 99% of the computer user base is not, by the way. Let's just put that out there. But I can see it from a hobbyist and tech hobbyist viewpoint that are interested in software and coding and stuff and operating systems and boot system and init system, all of that fucking shit. If you're one of those few people in the world, by the way, that are really into that, but basically what this comes down to, this is not because the operating system needs you to do something to work. No, this is because the arts people fucked up. Let's be honest, they did a bad fucking job. That's not something to be proud of. Like, honestly, it's like saying, oh, my car just self-combusted while it was standing in my garage. That's interesting. Let's find out why that is and use it as a feature of this car specific car brand.
Like, that's an opportunity to, like, look into why this is the case. Maybe...
Yeah, ask all the car people that had their, I can't remember. I know Porsche self-combusted at some point. Go ask those owners if they were like, oh, my car is burning. Let's learn. No, they were, like, pissed, okay? Like, yeah, I
maybe not look into it as much as, I might do for a video where I'm going to read some mailing lists for 3 hours, but it's still an opportunity to look.
You don't learn much from reading a mailing list. You have to you have to dive in and do it yourself. The problem with reading a mailing list or manuals is like, it's like, let's say you want to be a surgeon or you want to be a plumber or an electrician, and all you do is reading the textbooks. You may understand it, but you don't really understand it until you've done it, yourself also. Because theory and practical use are two different things. You may, when you're hands deep in shit, to your fucking knees trying to fix a problem, there may be some things that you have to do that's not in the textbooks. And it will not work if you don't do it, or there is ways of doing it in a better, faster, and more streamlined way. I hate when people are trying to teach out of theory only. You need to have practical experience.
Look into sort of why this happened and why the bootloader functions in this fashion. Maybe even look at what other bootloaders might be available. Like, hey, is this a chance to try?
How is this whole conversation to have anything to do with Linux becoming more mainstream, by the way? They are talking like nerds nerding out about a thing nerds out about. They are not really addressing the whole Linux is becoming more mainstream, other than, oh, I see more comments for people that are not interested in FOSS.
Out system deboot or refined, or maybe even go like just straight UEFI boot and just skip the bootloader altogether.
Yeah, totally. I've graduated from QA and software. I guess it is software engineering. I'm like a systems engineer, basically. Like, some people would call it DevOps. I don't like the term DevOps very much. I'm just a operations dude. But when something breaks and screws up like that, my thought is like, okay, this will never happen again. I am going to find a way to script this so this never breaks or screws up.
Oh, I love that mentality. Fix a problem, make sure it don't occur again. I love that.
So that's, I wouldn't have that drive had I not used Linux and had my system break. And it's don't get me wrong, like, it's painful. Like, I remember one time I wanted to show a friend something. I was running OpenSUSE a long time ago, and I did an update, and the display drivers were gone. Like, nothing worked. And, like, that's really frustrating. It was embarrassing. But, like, damn it, it was character building, and I'm a better person because that happened.
I feel this is a little bit circle jerking, okay? This is like Linux users trying to use the inefficiencies and the shortcomings of Linux as a feature. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Yeah, maybe this system is not doing what we want it to do. Maybe the system is kicking us in the balls when we don't want it to. Maybe the system is not as stable as we want it to do. But you learn something. It's character building.
That's what I tell myself anyway.
Well, you gotta convince yourself somehow the Linux problems are, like, good for you.
Again, circle jerking, making Linux out to be better than it actually is. Why not just be honest?
We can't just sit around just complaining everything's bad all the time. We gotta like convince other people outside of Linux that, it's not all bad. The grass is actually greener on the other side. Come over here, come experiment with it, see what it's...
This whole statement, I have a lot of problems. No, it's not. Don't do this. Don't. Be fucking honest. Okay? I am so tired of... It's about to stop here, so I will go into the conclusion here. First of all, they talked about it in the first minute, and then the rest is just nerd circle jerking. But I'm so tired of Linux YouTubers praising Linux. This is a perfect example of it. Oh, again, like I said, things breaks. Oh, it's a learning experience. It's nice that you look at it that way, but most people will not. Okay, and they don't want that learning experience. They want it when they are ready for it. And then sitting here and say, oh yeah, Linux has problem, but the grass is greener, you should come over, and blah, blah. No, be honest. Be fucking honest. Because the people that Brody right now are talking, if he's talking like that to new Linux users, he will have more users running and screaming away from Linux than he would not. Here's the thing, undersell it. Under-fucking sell it. Because if you make it out to be a little bit worse than it actually is, and they try it out and it's like, oh, it's better than you said, they get a positive experience. Now they are hyped, they are positive, they are like, yeah, baby. See you all later, bye-bye.